Hello and welcome to another Overlord lore video, and today we will take a look at players. But before we do so, let me thank my Patreons for supporting this channel. First and foremost, the term player refers to any human that lived in the year of 2138 and was logged in during Yggdrasil Online server shutdown. While Yggdrasil Online was just a dive MMORPG, where you could control your own unique and irreplaceable avatar via the dive helmet nanotechnology, the moment the servers went offline, some players were transported into the new world. And while Yggdrasil was just an advanced game, and the avatar which people were controlling via their gaming gear were just data and polygon sets, in the new world, the consciousness of the human player became one with the now very real avatar body. For example, this means that somebody in the body of an undead overlord would suddenly be indifferent to human suffering and could stomach watching a massacre without really caring about it, despite the fact that just a day ago the very same person, upon knowing and seeing what happens, would be sick to their stomach. But since the mind control resistance of an overlord also acts as an emotional dampener, suppressing any strong emotions, the player reincarnated into the overlord's body will just do a quick cost-benefit analysis and then move on unless something really important gives him a reason to intervene. But players were not only mentally and physically influenced by their avatars, but they now were their avatars, and therefore they had access to all of its spells, skills and powers. So instead of being a frail, sickly man, you are now able to split clouds with the swing of an axe. And you're also a minotaur. And this right here is perhaps their single biggest characteristic: the power part, not turning into a furry. It was fairly easy for players in Yggdrasil to become level 95, with only the last 5 levels requiring a bit of grinding. Dying and thus losing 5 levels per death was also a very popular way to redistribute levels in order to try out and perfect different combat strategies. Additionally, there were also Gundams that could be equipped by low-level players in order to level up faster. Also, power leveling was a thing back in Yggdrasil. Additionally, experience points were also common enough to fuel certain spells, which led most players to be level 100, and many of them were likely more powerful than Ainz in terms of stats and character build. In stark contrast to this, the average level of a human from the new world is in the low single digits, with the level of 30 being considered as heroic. This, in combination with the advent of tier magic and the twisting and sealing of wild magic, the Dragonlord's traditional soulbound way of casting spells, allowed players to largely control and influence most major events during the last 600 years. For example, for the new world, having to deal with the 8 kings of Avarice was akin to the endgame crisis arriving in the Stellaris galaxy after just 100 years, due to the arrival of the remnants of one single guild. Many once dominant species were wiped out completely, and many more greatly reduced, such as the former dominant species, the Dragonlords. But not only did the New World inhabitants suffer, humans were given the gift of tier magic, and quite possibly martial arts and talents. And aside from those very practical things, players brought also all kinds of different ideas and concepts to the New World: fridges, magical light bulbs, religious extremism, misplaced medical knowledge, and hopefully catgirls. But not only the players but also their offspring, the Godkins, were blessed with at least a considerable portion of the player's potential maximum level of 100, because both Sashi and the teenager leading the Black Scripture are both at least in their 60s level-wise. And while the human and the human half-elf Godkins are the only 2 currently known, there could potentially be 100 or more Minotaur Godkins running around a labyrinth for hunting recreational purpose, or because the Minotaur sage believed that this is what Minotaurs are supposed to do. And who wants to talk back to the all-talk sage when in reach of his weapon? Now, the reason for why players appeared in their avatar's body in another world, despite just playing a computer game literally a second ago, is probably related to world-class items. And say this again, this is just me speculating here, it is likely tied to the wild magic of the Dragon Lords. Simply speaking, the strongest Dragon Lord saw an alternate dimension, he saw items he liked, he casted a spell of teleportation in order to transport them to the new world. But the spell failed because the Dragon Lord didn't realize that he brought computer game items into a real world, and this led to everything around the 200 world items being drawn into the new world and materialized. Players, items, NPCs and guild bases included, as well as to the deformation of wild magic. And now every 100 years, another wave of players seems to appear. And lastly, I want to give an overview about all known and speculated players. 600 years ago, 6 players appeared in the territory that is known as the Slain Theocracy, where they are now worshipped as deities who saved humanity from otherwise certain extinction. 500 years ago, the 8 Great Kings appeared, apparently with their guild base still intact. They waged and won a war against the Dragon Lords for supremacy, nearly wiping them out in the process. They then established a continent-spanning empire and promoted and spread tier magic and human welfare. But they waged a devastating civil war and destroyed nearly everything they had built, wiping themselves out in the process. 300 years ago, a player came to the new world who had been slain by Deep Darkness Dragon Lord and lost his world item to the lizard. 200 years ago, the evil deities invaded the new world, and 2 low-level players also arrived. During their time with the 13 heroes, they had apparently managed to slay the evil deities, who destroyed many nations, and one of them is said to have become the strongest of the entire hero group, while the other was killed halfway through the journey by the first one. Also, the Minotaur sage appeared during this time. And last but not least, the Overlord of Nazarick, Eins Olgaun, arrived at the year 0 before Nazarick. And there are also stories about further potential players. For example, about a hero soaring through the sky on wings, an evil knight riding a 3-headed dragon, and a goblin king fighting and beating dragon lords with an ashen tree branch. And last but not least, the elf king from the Elven Kingdom might be somewhat related to players, even though he isn't necessarily a player or a godkin himself. And that's pretty much it. And before any more comments about my health are commented in the comment section, yeah, great English. Let me just tell you that I'm feeling a lot better right now. I know my voice is still a bit weird, I know I'm coughing like crazy, but I think I'm over the worst. And with that said, I say thank you very much for all of your well wishes, and thank you very much for watching. And as usual, special thanks to Adam J, Al Capone, Andy, Angel of Death, Bad Guy Yi, Ben C, Boyzilla, Chrissy, Conquer All, Death is Mercy, Diabetic Centaur, Dystopia, Elika Birchleaf, Phalis Catus, Thural Shivan, Forbus Gurupulon, Gigafight, Ghost of Epicness, Guy with Dead Head, Hector Marino, Black Phoenix Emperor, Hoss, Huster, Janabi, Jason, Kleinator, Chromius, Large, Lifar, Legendarius, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Lord Ulbertalane Odell, Luces Ollie, Lexus Fox, Majima, Matt C, Marcos, Michael R, Mr. Shoes, Mindless Rev, Minnow 13, Mirtis, Nfiria's Potion, O'Kill, Paddy Pantum, Primus 11, Sasuga Einsama, Sebastian, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Surge, Sparkly Unicorn, Sunlight, The Mad Alien, The Orc Warboss Rock Adsmasher, Ultrasuck, Vash Hawkeye, Zoggo Bane of a Lot, and Zonegon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video. Over and out.